This is A's pitching coach Scott Emerson live from the Tokyo Dome in Tokyo, Japan, and you're watching the RO Sports Show.
And a wonderful evening to everyone out there in the Sand Hills area. Welcome to the Ross Rundown, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics. I'm your host, Matt Harrelson. Alongside with me, Bran Fall. Have a good week?
I have. How about you?
Very, very good, and I'll tell you why. North Carolina is the number one
That's
seed.
right. That's always a good thing.
And it was up in the air for a little bit there, but obviously we are in the middle of March. March Madness has officially begun,
Best
so
time
we
of
are
the
going
year.
to start
That's
right
right.
there.
Love it.
Best time of the year, absolutely. However, before we get into the actual tournament, let's talk about the ACC tournament and how we wrap that up.
Right.
Obviously, if you're a Carolina fan, didn't go the way that you would have wanted it to. But Florida State beat number one seed Virginia. Did that surprise you at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
It did. I mean, I really thought Virginia would be. I thought whoever won, Carolina or Duke, or Virginia, I thought you would have to go through the other two schools to do it.
I agree.
That surprised me.
I mean, Florida State was the 4 seed. They were ranked, so it's not like it was crazy that happened. But still, I know a lot of people were expecting Virginia to win that. Before we continue this talk, last year Virginia was the first 1 seed in the big tournament to lose to a 16. Do you think maybe this is bringing up some bad dreams for the Cavaliers?
I'm quite sure Tony Bennett's had some sleepless nights since last week.
I'm sure he has. So Florida State beat Virginia, and then Friday night, unfortunately, for Tar Heel fans, as we know now, the Blue Devils beat the Tar Heels 74-73.
Great basketball game.
It was absolutely
disappointing ending.
And Carolina had every opportunity to win this game.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you saw or follow me on Facebook, but before the game started, I put out some keys to beating Duke that should have happened.
I do usually follow you, but I missed that.
Before the game started, I had 4 different things that Carolina needed to do in order for them to win. Number 1 was don't take so many three-pointers, and the ones they do take need to be good looks.
They failed.
And we're going to touch on all this. Number 2, crash the boards as hard as they can and try to neutralize Zion Williamson. Number 3, not only get to the free throw line, but you got to make those, all of them. And then number 4, hope Roy doesn't pass out from vertigo. So number 4 we were good with. But I posted right after the game ended, I said, you live by the 3, you die by the 3. And isn't that exactly what happened?
So what? I mean, the next to last possession, they came down and took a horrible 3, and they got bailed out by the 2 missed free throws. And I totally get Roy Williams' philosophy about not calling a timeout.
Sure, been doing it for years.
It beat Kentucky a couple years ago. They came down. However, they had just shown they were going to make a bad decision. You needed 2 points to win that game. Call a timeout, get that ball inside. White did not shoot the ball well, but he drove well.
He did.
In that game. God, he's got to be driving that ball.
He does. Now, talking about three-pointers, and as I mentioned, I said don't take so many three-pointers, and the ones you do need to be good looks. They were 4 of 27 from beyond the arc. That's good for 14.8%. Now, luckily, Duke didn't do much better. They were 5 of 20 on three-pointers. That's 25%, perhaps the reason why Duke didn't blow us out, to be honest with you. But I was talking about crashing the boards. They did that. UNC had 47 rebounds, 19 of which were offensive. Duke had 41 rebounds, 12 offensive. And then from the free throw line, Carolina did pretty well. 11 of 15, 73%. Duke shot 7 of 13, 54%. So forget the vertigo thing. But three-pointers, rebounds, and free throws were the big keys. They did great on the boards, did great at the free throw line. Obviously, it was the three-point line.
They have not shot the ball well from three-point land a lot this year. They rely on a lot, and particularly against Duke. They haven't had a good game yet shooting threes against Duke. And they needed to get more drives to the basket. You saw they were 73% from the line. Let's say they attempted 25 shots instead of 15 driving the ball to the basket. That's a win.
Zion, of course, it was back for the tournament. He scored 31 points, had 11 rebounds, was his usual dominant self. Doesn't seem like that injury bothered him at all. However, all the Duke fans out there that said, well, the only reason y'all beat us twice was because Zion wasn't there. Zion was here. Zion was doing his thing, and they only beat Carolina by 1.
Yeah, that was a winnable game. Duke's great.
Sure. Sure.
However, the prognosticators that said Carolina was that far behind were wrong.
Yeah. And just some other quick stats here. As far as we'll do Duke first here. R.J. Barrett had 15 points and 8 rebounds. Cam Reddish only 6 points. So
that's surprising.
Surprised me there. Yeah. On the Carolina side, Cameron Johnson had 23 points. He's been playing phenomenal.
They're going to miss him next year.
Absolutely. That was a great pickup from Pitt.
Yes, it was.
By Roy.
I love Cam Johnson.
Luke, we're also losing him. He had 14 points and 13 rebounds, doing his usual thing. And then Kobe only 11 points. So that perhaps
and he was like 4 of 20 shooting, or 4 of 17, something like that. I mean, that's right. Just, I'm open, coach. Well, there's a reason Dean Smith used to say.
Yeah.
Quit throwing up the threes.
Yep, and I fully believe that's what hurt them, and I'm a little afraid of them continuing that trend as we get into March Madness.
Yep.
So, but with that being done, Duke then beat Florida State in the ACC championship game, 73-63.
Pretty good basketball game for a half or so.
Sure, doesn't sound like it was close, but like you mentioned, it was for a little bit there. This was Duke's 21st ACC tournament title and the 15th for Coach K.
It's a lot.
What else can you say? I mean even as a Tar Heel fan,
he's the man. I mean, Carolina fan or not, Krzyzewski's the man.
Absolutely.
He's the standard.
And, of course, this should surprise no one. Zion was the tournament MVP.
Oh, yeah.
Again, that doesn't surprise me whatsoever.
Nope, not at all.
So, all of the tournaments are done, which means that was time for Selection Sunday.
Yeah.
Now, look, I'm going to brag on myself a little bit because I mentioned that the ACC would get 3 number 1 seeds.
You asked me that about that.
What was that, like a couple weeks ago?
It was.
And lo and behold, because they all beat up on one another, we now have the top 4 seeds of Duke, who's the overall number 1.
Yep, deservedly so.
In the East, Virginia in the South, UNC number 1 in the Midwest, and Gonzaga number 1 in the West. You got any problem with this?
None whatsoever. They came out in the final AP rankings 1, 2, 3.
Yep, I have no problem with this.
None whatsoever.
Although I do want to say, it did surprise me a little bit that Duke was able to get the number 1 overall seed. I'm not even saying that I don't even know who should have gotten it. Man, that Clemson thing will not stay up here. It's gone. They didn't make it in basketball. But, Duke had 2 losses to Carolina in the regular season. I know that was without Zion, but look, you play who you play. It's not, it's not the Tar Heels' fault he was injured. I don't know. It just surprised me that Duke was able to get the overall seed. Tennessee, Kentucky was up there as a potential number 1, and Tennessee beat them in the SEC championship. It surprised me a little bit. Tennessee didn't perhaps end up with a number 1.
And I'm surprised you didn't hear more from Rick Barnes complaining about it.
And he would have a right to.
Yeah, he would. Tennessee's the one school in there that I would say would have a case to knock off one of those teams as a number 1 seed.
Correct. And, the fact that Gonzaga was the overall number 1 seed until they lost to St. Mary's in the WCC tournament, still ended up as a number 1.
Yep.
I think that's okay.
Yeah, I think they should. I mean,
that's
they
why
were number 1 all year.
Dropped from the number 1 overall because of that loss.
Yep.
So, speaking of the March Madness tournament, here's a cool stat for you. The ACC is 318 wins to 162 losses since they moved to 64 teams in 1985.
Wow. That's a great stat.
It's a lot of wins.
Great stat. I hope they go 7-0 this week.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, I passed out brackets to everybody on our staff. That would include myself, you, Jeremy, Dion, and Russell. We also have a master copy. So that's just kind of for us. We're just going to do it for bragging rights here in the office. But let's take a look at the brackets here.
Let's do.
Now, there's already been a couple games that have happened.
Yeah.
It depends on who you ask. Those really don't matter because more than likely, crazier things have happened, but more than likely they won't be moving forward.
That's right.
Looking at this, which one do you think's the toughest bracket?
I mean, I was looking over this thing, and I mean, I watched. I was not home Sunday night, so I DVR'd the selection Sunday and came home and watched it Sunday night when I got home. These are some tough brackets.
They are.
Duke's bracket's tough. They all are. I mean, Carolina's second round game is going to be tough.
It is.
Assuming they get by Iona. And they'll potential matchup with Kentucky. I mean, every 1 seed. Matter of fact, Dick Vitale picked all 1 and 2 seeds to make the Elite Eight, and then he got ridiculed a lot for it because he's Dick Vitale.
I don't know why though. I mean, we see that happen a lot.
Yeah, so it could happen this year because there are legitimately all 8 of those teams could win the championship.
And that's kind of how I look at it when I take a look at the bracket. I'm going to go and say that I think the West is the toughest. And what I usually do is I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I look at each team and I think, all right, do they have the potential to keep winning moving forward? Obviously, Michigan is number 2 there. Texas Tech, number 3. All these have been ranked. Florida State, number 4. They were ranked still are ranked. Number 5 is Marquette. They're ranked. Number 6 is Buffalo with only 3 losses. That's the 6th seed. Nevada, who was ranked and is a senior-heavy team and is very tough.
It's a good team. Yeah, it's a good team.
They're your 7th seed. I mean, Syracuse, your 8th seed.
If you got the Syracuse Orange as your 8th seed in your region, that is a loaded region.
Right. That was kind of where I was headed with this because I look at Syracuse as your 8th seed there. Duke's bracket has VCU as the 8th seed. Over here, you got Ole Miss as the 8th seed and Virginia's. And then in North Carolina's bracket, you've got Utah State, who's a pretty good team. But I just think the West there is by far the toughest bracket.
I see that.
Now, I didn't actually count how many ACC teams are in this, but we actually didn't have the most teams.
We did not.
I think it was the Big Ten ended up with the most.
I was surprised. I mean, a couple ACC teams got robbed, in my opinion.
And let's talk about that. So we thought, or I did anyway, you may agree with me, that NC State and Clemson would both get in. 9-9 in the ACC. They're 500. They both won 20 games. What happened?
I mean, okay, I get it. You didn't get a lot of wins against the quadrant 1 and 2 teams.
Yeah, I don't like that.
That's a stupid rule. If you're 500 or above in what is largely considered the best conference in the country,
absolutely,
and you got over 20 wins, you are a tournament team. You cannot tell me that NC State and Clemson are not in the best 68 teams in the country.
I agree.
No way.
Even if you had to stick them in one of these 11 seed things.
I mean, ridiculous that they're not in. They're nowhere to be found.
And perhaps we may be a little biased being an ACC country, but I mean, just look at the stats. It's like you just mentioned. If you finish at 500 or better in the best conference in the nation, you should be in. So
I heard somebody criticize State because they didn't get any wins against Duke, Carolina, or Virginia this year. Yeah. Okay, name me any of the schools name me these last 4 in that did.
Yeah, exactly. Or played anywhere close to that kind of schedule.
That's exactly right.
I agree with you 100% there. So I've got some other cool stats here, some March Madness stats. So, and perhaps if you're out there getting ready to make your picks, this may sway you one way or the other. So the highest scoring team out of the 64 this year is Gonzaga with 88.8 points per game. Doesn't surprise me at all. The lowest scoring team is Kansas State with 65.8 points per game.
Wow.
I haven't seen much of Kansas State.
Me neither. I don't think I've watched them all year.
Maybe that surprises me, maybe it doesn't. This one does not surprise me. UNC, fastest team in the whole tournament.
Not at all. Will Williams wide open.
74 possessions per game.
Wow.
That does not surprise me. The slowest team also doesn't surprise me in Virginia.
No, not at all.
59 possessions per game.
That's their mantra, baby. That's what they do.
They slow it down, and I've always said if you can score 60 or more points on Virginia, you're probably going to win, but it doesn't happen very often. Yeah. The best free throw shooting team, Ole Miss, who is that 8 seed that I was mentioning. Yeah. Obviously, free throws one of the biggest things when it comes to playing in March. The worst free throw shooting team is St. Louis. They're at 60%. I'm not even sure where they are.
God, that's bad.
Yeah. Listen to this. The worst three-point shooting team, Duke Blue Devils.
Really?
Yep. They're at 30% for the season.
Wow, that's a surprise because, for years they've made their living on the three-point line in the tournament.
And I wonder if that will continue in the tournament.
I hope so. I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
I'm not. The best three-point shooting team at 42% is Wofford.
Wow.
Yeah.
Go Wofford.
Wofford's South Carolina, right?
Yeah, they're ranked in the top 20. Yeah. That's awesome.
And that's what I love about college basketball as opposed to college football. You got teams like Wofford, like Buffalo, Houston.
That's right.
Teams that in football would have absolutely no shot.
That's right.
And then to wrap this up, the most experienced team, as I mentioned earlier, is Nevada. They have 2.71 average seasons for their players under their belt.
That's a lot in today's day and time.
This is a senior-heavy team. That means the majority of them are junior or above. This also shouldn't surprise you. The team with the least experience, Kentucky.
Yeah, that's right. 1.2.
0.58.
Wow.
Yeah, and they actually have a senior on their team this year in Reed
We're
Travis.
pulling the average up.
Something you never see. Yeah, if he wasn't there, who knows what it'd be. Syracuse is the tallest team out of the tournament, 79.4% average height. Prairie View,
Wow.
who I think is already lost. They
did lose to Fairleigh Dickinson.
Yeah, they are the shortest team in the tournament and the shortest team to play
That's right.
because they're already gone.
Wow.
So, that is going to do it for that. Now, I'm not going to ask you, well, I don't know.
Okay.
I know we haven't filled these
Yeah.
out yet, but inclination, who do you think might has the best chance to win it all?
I'm going Tar Heels.
Yeah?
And I'm biased, and I do not pick them every year.
Yeah.
I think they have not won the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament in the same year since '82.
Wow. Great stat.
So I think, although I'd hate to lose to Duke and didn't want to lose, I think maybe the loss, if there's such a good thing as a time to lose a game,
Yeah.
ACC tournament might be that, and maybe they'll regroup. Maybe Roy uses it as a teaching moment. They're good enough. They've beaten Gonzaga.
Yeah.
They've beaten Duke twice.
Yeah.
They were in the Virginia game that Cam Johnson went out. I mean, they are just up. They can beat anybody in that list when they're on.
Yep, absolutely.
So I'm going Tar Heels.
And I'm with you. Like in the past, I've done 2 brackets. I'll do one that has the
I've done
Tar
that a
Heels,
lot.
and then one that I think could actually win.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're one in the same. though.
One in heart, one with head. I do the same thing every year.
But I gotta say this. Obviously, I'm pulling for the Heels,
Yeah.
but with a fully healed up Zion,
They're tough.
they're gonna be tough to
God,
beat.
they are tough.
I really don't know. I mean, look, obviously anything can
Yeah.
happen. You've got to win a lot of games in a row, and somebody's got to win. But Duke's gonna be really tough.
And Michigan State's the 2 seed in their bracket, and Izzo teams always seem to play Duke tough
They're
if
very
it
good.
gets to them. However, like I said, Duke is. It'll be an upset if Duke. I mean, what was there? Almost a dead even Vegas 2-1.
Oh yeah.
To win. I mean, they were clearly the favorite to win it.
There you go. All right, so as I mentioned, as we move forward through March Madness, we will, of course, keep you up to date on everything basketball. Now, let's switch gears and head to the Diamond.
Yay, baseball.
Let's round the bases as we've been continuing our coverage for baseball here. And I forgot to mention, Scott Emerson was nice enough to open the show up for us, which I didn't tell you about. He's in Tokyo, of course.
Wow.
They're
Yeah.
playing the Mariners.
Yeah.
He was nice enough to send us a video introducing the RO Sports Show, so of course we really appreciate that from
Awesome.
Scott. But we've already touched on the AL West
Okay.
and the NL West. Let's head back from the AL West to the NL Central
Okay.
and round the bases. So let's start with, I'm starting from last place and
Okay.
moving up
All
here.
right.
Cincinnati Reds. They traded for Yasiel Puig
Yep.
and Matt Kemp. They also traded for Sonny Gray, then signed him to a contract extension. Are these enough moves to get them back in the playoffs?
Well, they think so.
Yeah.
You hear the optimism come out of their camp. I watched some interviews with some of their players. They are, of course, a lot of players. A lot of
What
teams
do you expect me to say?
That's right. That's right. But I still don't think they're quite there yet.
I don't either.
But they'll be better.
You know, we're going to get into Mike Trout here in just a few moments, and we talk about how the Angels seem to be kind of wasting his good years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the Reds are kind of like Joey Votto's kind of falling into that? I know they signed him to that huge long-term deal, but he's running out of peak years, isn't
That's
he?
right. I mean, that window will close eventually. And I just worry about their pitching.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be able to. I mean, you see it every year, year in and year out, with a few exceptions. I mean, the Dodgers series with the Astros a few years ago was a lot of long balls. But it seems like once you get to the playoffs,
Yes.
you got to have deep quality
It's all
pitching.
about matchups.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
absolutely. And, you know, like I mentioned, they have Sonny Gray. I think they finally got rid of Homer Bailey and
Yeah.
that stupid contract
Yeah.
they signed him to. But they're kind of going the route of trying to build their pitching staff through the farm system, kind of similar to what the
That's
Braves
right.
are doing.
They are,
So
and I don't know enough about their farm system, and
I don't either.
to know it, and it may be excellent.
Could be.
But that's a big question mark here. We're sitting in March.
Absolutely. All right, so the team that finished fourth in the NL Central, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I feel like when Andrew McCutchen was in his prime, those were that was their window
that's
to
right.
win. I feel like that window has closed.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what is the ceiling for the Pirates this season?
Third or fourth place again. I don't see anything there.
I think they'll be around 500,
Yeah,
82 and
that's
82,
right.
somewhere in that
Yeah.
range. I expect that to be. For many years, this was Andrew McCutchen's team. I don't even know whose team this is anymore.
I mean
Sterling Marte, Jamison
Right.
Talon,
I mean,
the pitcher.
they're just certainly not loaded, and
No.
no marquee names. Not necessarily you have to have a marquee name, but they're just I don't see anything there this year.
I look at them as another team like the Reds, like a lot of teams that are trying to build through the farm system.
Yep.
Some teams it works for, some it doesn't.
And you know, that's the downside of playing in a small market. You can't go out and make the big splash.
Exactly.
And you have to rely on some, and hope you hit on some of those.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. All right, in third place, believe it or not, it shows you how deep the NL Central is, was the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, they made a big trade over the offseason, traded for first baseman and superstar Paul Goldschmidt, who is very underrated, in my opinion.
You forget about him out there in Arizona.
Yeah, he'll definitely get some more time in the limelight.
All-star caliber guy. Player.
Absolutely.
Great player.
Basically taking over for another future Hall of Famer in Albert Pujols, who was manning first base for a long time. But will the Goldschmidt trade be enough to get them over the top and into the playoffs again? Because you got to jump the Cubs and the Brewers.
Same thing with them. Wonder about their pitching.
Yeah. Had some injuries, too.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, they could jump up to second.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know which one of those teams. I know we're going to talk more about the Cubs and Brewers. I don't know which one of those teams is coming backwards.
Yeah, exactly.
So did they do enough to catch them? Is the big question. The Goldschmidt will help.
Absolutely.
Absolutely
Putting him in the middle of that lineup.
That's right.
And let's not forget about Marcell Ozuna, who they traded for front when the Marlins were doing another one of their fire sales.
That's right.
He had kind of a down year, but if he plays up to his potential that we've seen in Miami,
that's right.
That's another big bat in the middle of that lineup.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, it's going to come down to pitching.
That's right.
It seems to me like they're going to put Adam Wainwright in the starting five again.
Really?
I feel like his days are done, aren't they?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I'm right there with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he finds something. Who knows?
Yeah. You know, he used to be a Brave.
That's right.
People forget that.
That seems like forever ago.
It was, and I wish we'd have kept it.
Right.
Looking back at his career, Wainwright, Hall of Famer.
That's your thing. Got to think about it. Probably not.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
All right, moving forward. Let's talk about the Chicago Cubs. So, depending on who you are, 2018 was a down year for the Cubs.
That's right.
They did make the playoffs, but it was in the wild card round,
That's right.
and then they got bumped. So, can they return to be the Central champs this year?
I think they can.
Let me ask you a follow-up question. Chris Bryant. Obviously, a cornerstone franchise-type player, has already won an MVP.
Yep.
Was injured last year, had a down year. Think he bounces back this season?
I absolutely think he has a bounce-back year, and he has got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, too.
Yes, he does.
I mean, you get a great player with a chip on his shoulder, and he can channel that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still a very good lineup. I saw them play last year in Cincinnati. They are good.
Yeah, and they still won like 90-something games.
I mean, it's not like they were bad.
And Cub fans were so upset.
That's
but
right.
the Brewers had a great season.
The Brewers just had an unbelievable, magical year.
Speaking of guys with a chip on their shoulder, not to play off of his name, but Chipper always played that way.
That's right. That's right. He always did.
Yeah, and had a Hall of Fame career to back it up.
Yeah, and I love Chris Bryant. I think he bounces back and has a huge year.
Yeah, him and Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah, that's
probably
a good combination.
One of, if not the best 1-2 combo in the league as far as offense. Although perhaps Freddie and Acuna could
might have something
knock
to say
them
about
off
that
the
this year.
mantle in a couple of years. All right, let's finish up rounding the bases with the Milwaukee Brewers, who surprised some people and won the Central. A lot of that was pitching and bullpen. A lot of it was bullpen.
I saw them play against the Braves a couple times, and they were just, I mean, like you said, their middle guys.
Yes.
Or I don't know how many of them they kept.
There's Josh Hader who's coming back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's I had his name, Jeffries, Jimmy Jeffries.
And Hader, I think, is a closer in a lot of places.
He would be. So with that being said, here's my question for the Brewers: will a lack of a true number one pitcher make or break the Brewers this year?
Not if their bullpen holds up, it won't.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, their whole strategy was get me to the 5th or 6th inning. Yeah. And it worked.
It did.
Worked like a charm.
With that being said, to piggyback off of that though, how long can you continue that without wearing out your bullpen?
Well,
guys?
you would be nice to get some 7 inning starts, quality starts in there thrown in there.
Yep.
So I don't, so maybe it does hurt them. So far, a year or two certainly will be all right.
Yeah, and we'll know obviously.
Yeah, that's right. We'll see if they got. I'll be a little bit surprised if they duplicate last year's success, but they'll still be good.
So you think they're gonna be the team that regresses a little bit?
I think the Cubs overtake them this year and go back to the top of the division.
That's not far fetched at all. So all right, that's gonna do it for rounding the bases, but not for our baseball coverage.
That's right.
Because just when you thought Bryce Harper was going to be the man when it comes to getting paid, Mike Trout said, "Hold my beer."
That's right.
Mike Trout and the Angels have agreed to a 12-year deal worth $430 million.
Wow. Amazing.
First reaction.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, what a great deal for him. I'm just a much more of a fan. Not that I don't like Bryce Harper, but I think Mike Trout.
I don't.
I think Mike Trout is. If Bryce Harper and Manny Machado are deserving of what they got, and I have a hard time saying anybody's deserving of that much money.
Sure.
Okay, but
yeah.
if they are, then Mike Trout is worth every nickel of this money. He will sell it back in jersey sales, and now the Angels have locked in the game's best player, in my opinion, until he's 39 years old.
Probably for the majority of his career.
Right. And the thing about being in California, when he does regress a little bit, as bad as you and I both hate the DH,
well,
that'll be an option for him later in his career.
That is absolutely an option for him. So this is the largest deal, not only in baseball history, but sports history. Right. We talked about these guys, Giancarlo Stanton, Bryce signing these 12, 13 million or 13-year deals. And we've also talked about how it might not necessarily be a good idea, but Mike Trout's just in a league of his own, right?
He is. I mean, he is a Hall of – if he never played another inning of baseball, he's in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
Won 2 AL MVPs already. Has finished second 4 times. This salary will be an average of $36 million a year, which we may look 6-7 years from now, and it's cheap.
I was just getting ready to say, as ridiculous as it sounds right now, in 8 years, people are going to say, "Man, they got a bargain," because Mike Trout will still be in his mid-30s. And still be crushing the ball probably.
Yep, and the deal is through the 2030 season. It's 30% larger than Harper's deal.
Wow.
Of course, Trout was due to become a free agent after the 2020 season.
Harper's been politicking hard to get in there, so now that noise will go away.
I'm glad he didn't come to Philly.
Me too.
Because that would have scared me.
That would have locked down the NL East for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, it really would have. The thing I worry about, though, I would say I'm with you. If anybody's worth these kind of numbers, it's Trout. However, isn't this going to kind of put a stranglehold on the rest of your team to be able to go out and get some other guys to play around Trout?
It is, but I don't know what their pocketbook's like out there in California.
Artie Moreno's got a big checkbook.
Yeah, so, I mean, if they can get some pitching around. The only thing I would hate it for Trout is being there until he's 39 and never sniffed a championship.
Exactly, and that's what I'm worried about
because they couldn't. I would hate that for him. But obviously he weighed that when he signed this contract. Yeah. And I hope they just put the team around him. When they dump Pujols. Yeah. That's going to free up some money. They're giving as much. I love Pujols, Hall of Fame, first ballot.
Way too long.
Yeah, that's right. Way too big of a contract for a player his age.
Yeah, they're paying him till like his mid-40s.
Yeah. Once they dump that contract, maybe they can use that to get some pitching.
Yeah, and that's exactly where they need to go because offense won't be a problem because Mike Trout's like LeBron. He makes everybody on the team better.
That's right.
His stats through 1,065 games in his career, he has a .307 career batting average, 240 home runs, 648 RBIs, 713 runs, and 189 stolen bases. Wow.
And he is built like a bodybuilder. He's got that kind of speed.
But he's got speed.
That's right.
He's amazing. He is the epitome of a five-tool player.
And just appears to be the most humble guy you ever
That's
see.
Exactly right.
I love him.
The main difference between he and Harper is Trout's clubhouse guy.
That's right.
And he's a good influence on your younger guys. He's a leader.
That's right.
And
he will
stays
teach
out of trouble.
Guys that play the right way. I do believe.
I think this was a great move by the Angels because they were at a position. We talked about it when we covered the AL West. Should they trade him and get something for him? They said, "Nah, we'll just re-sign him."
That's right.
Perhaps that was the way to go. Again, the only thing I worry about is will this keep them from being able to add some pieces around him? But they know more about it than I do. So. All right, that's going to do it for Rounding the Bases and our baseball coverage. Of course, this time next week, we'll come back and talk about the AL Central, which perhaps will also, I don't know, be stacked. That one's kind of up in the air. The Indians obviously will be there. Yeah. A couple other teams that are rebuilding. Perhaps it's going to be the Twins, and if not them, then the Indians will have it wrapped up by the All-Star break.
That's right.
So, but again, we'll get into that next week. So let's move forward and hit our big impacts of the week. Of course, brought to you by Richmond Community College, whose motto is local college, big impact. Who you got this week?
Grayson Way. If you have not seen the Raiders softball team play, please go.
Yes.
This is a special group.
Yes,
now, I am privileged to have a daughter who's the same age as a lot of these girls, a senior. And so I have seen these girls play since they were in before middle school, playing Parks and Rec ball and playing All-Stars. And she's as good a person as she is a pitcher.
Yes.
She's a leader on the team. And she will, and there's nobody in the conference that I trust more to go get you the big out if you need one.
And a big hit.
And she's a career leader for the Raiders, I think, in home runs.
She is.
And she's as good a person as she is a player. Big impact. Love her. Don't be surprised if I go down through the roster for my big impacts because
okay.
I love the Raiders softball team.
Yeah.
It's exciting to watch. Much as I love baseball,
yeah,
great softball is just as much fun to watch.
And I guarantee you, Dion and I will talk about the Lady Raiders softball team on the Raider wrap up this week. But since you've been following these girls since they were younger, a lot of them have been playing together since they were young. They're almost been conditioning them to get to this point, right?
Anything can happen.
Sure.
Once you get into the playoffs, but I truly believe this is a special group coming through right now. And they've been on the doorstep the last 2 years. And the
probably
team
should have won it last year.
That's right. I really thought they would. South Caldwell, I think it was, knocked them out last year. And the year before, they lost to the eventual state champion. Yep. South Caldwell made the championship series last year and got beat by Jack Brett. Yep. But they are right there on the doorstep, and you can't put that kind of pressure on you because you don't know what will happen.
Right. We're talking about girls that are 14, that's 15, 16, 17.
That's right. They are good enough to win the whole thing, in my opinion.
They are. And I saw I think it was Dion put out a stat on social media that according to Max Preps, they are number one in the country in home runs per game.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that's a great stat, and I'm not surprised. And the whole team can hit it out 1 through 9. Peyton Chappell, Aaliyah Sweeney, the whole team can go yard.
Matter of fact, one more quick stat before I hit you with my big impact. They led the state in home runs last year. Mm-hmm. They are 10 home runs ahead of the pace that they were at this time last year.
Yeah, Taylor Parrish is killing it too.
They're all killing it. Savannah,
killing the ball. Yeah.
All of them. So that's definitely a big impact. My big impact, I'm going to go to the Raiders in baseball. They picked up a 6-1 win over those Jack Brett Buccaneers. With the win, Richmond is now 5-3 overall, 4-1 in the SAC. Only a half game behind number 1 team Pinecrest, who's 7-2 and 5-2 overall. So hopefully,
love Raider baseball. Get out. Great place to go watch a game.
And I have a soft spot for them because I played, and Pinecrest has been a big rivalry against Richmond since I was playing there in the early 2000s.
For years. Yep.
Nothing's changed there. I don't expect anything to change. So.
And Hunter Parrish is having a good year for them, by the way.
He is.
He's my wife's cousin, so I'll put a plug in for him. great player.
When I interviewed Ricky probably a month ago now about replacing those big time pitchers, he said it's going to have to be by committee. Seems like Hunter Parrish said, "I'll jump in."
He's having a great year. Good to see
because
he's as good. Another one that's just as great a person as he is a player.
Absolutely. So that's going to do it for our big impacts of the week. Of course, brought to you by Richmond Community College, whose motto is local college, big impact. All right, Bram, let's finish up with Love It or Hate It. And I've got a page and a half of this. So let's begin with college basketball. So Belmont beat Temple in one of those first 4 out games, 81-70. This was Phil Dunphy's coaching career has now ended with that loss. Love it or hate it?
Love it for him. You hate to see him go out on a loss. The team kind of faded down the stretch of that game a little bit. But great career. Just you don't hear a lot about these kind of coaches that coach these small programs. But I mean, they make better men. They take young men and make them better men and better basketball players. And they're the kind of guy that makes basketball great.
I agree 100%. He's 70, so he was getting up there. Maybe it was time to hang him up. He actually took over the Owls back in 2006 for the legendary John Chaney.
Wow, who also coached for me.
So Temple's had 2 coaches in the last 50 years, seems like. He actually coached at Penn for 17 seasons before moving across the city of Philadelphia to take over for them. So congratulations to him in his future endeavors. I hate that he went out on a loss.
That's right.
But nonetheless, Belmont's coach Rick Bird said, I was fully prepared to congratulate him because, like you said, he's one of the best, better men in this profession.
That's
So
good guy.
All right, up next, let's talk baseball. So the Atlanta Braves have the Freeze. It's this guy who used to run track in college. He puts on this Arctic blue suit, and somebody gets picked from the stands. They get this humongous head start, and then he starts off, and he always wins.
He always catches them.
Well, the Washington Nationals decided they wanted to troll the Braves, perhaps. Their Double-A affiliate has now created what's called the Anti-Freeze, meaning that they've got a guy that is very slow, the complete opposite of the Freeze.
I could have that job.
the actual guy, he gets to start off. I would imagine it's probably like a really big, slow guy. And then whoever's picked out of the stands has to catch him. Love it or hate it.
Hate it.
Yeah.
Another reason I hate the Nationals.
Yeah.
I mean, I look for any excuse I can to hate the Nationals.
It's like they're picking on the Braves.
That's right.
Let's see your anti-freeze go up against our freeze.
That's right.
It wouldn't be close.
Nope.
All right. The Miami Dolphins signed Ryan Fitzpatrick to replace Ryan Tannehill. Love it or hate it.
I guess I hate it.
Yeah.
I like Fitzpatrick. He's
a journeyman.
He's right, and he had some good games for Tampa last year, but he just, I mean, if that's I hate it for the Dolphins if that's their answer, if they think that's their answer at quarterback next year, because.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
And we saw Ryan Fitzpatrick came out guns blazing the first four games, and then fell off.
Right in the tank.
With that being said, I wanted to follow that up, and because perhaps this isn't their long-term solution for quarterback, because the Dolphins signed Ryan Fitzpatrick with, quote, eyes on Tua in 2020. That's according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. Love that or hate it?
Okay, I do love that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because to be honest, if that's the plan, I didn't see that, so that's not a bad plan because the Dolphins are not going to the playoffs.
No.
I mean, or not going to be legitimate contenders this year, no matter who the quarterback is.
Although they may have to do a little tanking this year to get to
which is maybe why they signed Fitzpatrick.
Maybe it is. Because, I would imagine Tua's probably going to go pretty high next year, right?
He is. And, Tannehill is a decent quarterback, and he was going to carry him right to that 500 mark again and take him right out of that
We saw it every year for them. Kind of reminded me of the Redskins.
That's right.
Up next, Robert Kraft has been in the news. I'll just say this, and I stole this from SNL, but the only guy to take a private jet straight to a $45 hand job. Now, he was offered, that's good, right?
That's awesome.
He was offered a plea deal by prosecutors, and here's the deal. They said that you have to come in along with the 25 other guys, individually though. You have to look at the evidence, and you have to admit that if we went to court, you would be found guilty, and if he does that, he'll be off scotch-free. Love it or hate it.
I love it, but he's never going to do it.
You don't think he will?
No. All right. When have you
What's he got to lose?
When have you ever heard a Patriot admit they did anything wrong?
Well, that's a good point. I love that. That's a good point.
So, I'll be shocked if he takes that deal.
So what?
I love the fact that they offered him a deal to let him get out, which he's going to do, but he'd have to say, I'm guilty.
He'd have to say, yes, you caught me, I did it. The other flip of the coin is, though, what? He goes to trial?
Yeah.
Because they've got him on videotape. How do you fight that?
I don't know. Well, how do you fight Deflategate? How do you fight Spygate?
Yeah, but that was different, though. That was policed by the NFL. This is policed by the police.
True. Maybe. I'm just so cynical when it comes to them because they seem to get away with everything. So, I love the fact that they offered a deal, and I hope he takes it.
Yeah, I hope he does, too. And John and I were talking about this on Good Morning Sandhills, and I fully expect him to take it.
I hope he does. I'd love to see her next week and say it to him.
Because even if he says, all right, you caught me, I'm guilty, he's got to do like 100 hours of community service, which he can do very easily through the team.
That's right.
And then he'll have to pay I think it was like a $10,000 fine, which
like
that's
penny,
nothing.
Like a penny.
He's got it in his shoe.
Yeah.
So I would, if I were him, I would take the deal. I would just say, you caught me, because look, everybody knows what he was doing.
That's right.
And I'm under the thinking that, quite frankly, I don't really care.
I don't. In the grand scheme of things, with all that's going wrong, I don't. Yeah. I don't care what he did.
And I know there's people, and I don't want to get into politics, but there's a lot of people out there that are trying to connect this with sex trafficking, and that may be, but Robert Kraft isn't the end or beginning of sex trafficking, and this whole situation is not going to end sex trafficking. So I say take the deal and get a little slap on the wrist. Also in football, the Redskins have signed Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie 5 months after he retired.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. He's saying he's still got stuff left in the tank that he didn't want to go out when he did.
Yeah.
If he can play, I'm all for it.
Well, they need him. I know they signed Landon Collins, but they also lost Clinton Diggs.
That's right.
So I would imagine he's just going to slide in there.
That's right. He'll be a good veteran insurance policy.
Yeah.
Always around the ball.
Speaking of retiring, up next, defensive tackle Haloti Ngata has retired. Love it or hate it?
I love it. This guy retired from Mount Kilimanjaro that posted a video of it.
I don't know.
I think that's in front of Detroit.
He played for Detroit at one point. Yeah. Him and Ndamukong Suh were together.
His video he posted himself retiring was literally on top of the world. It was on top of Mount Kilimanjaro.
Well, that's awesome. I love that.
That's
yeah.
So
I mean, how do you-
I haven't seen the video, but I've heard about it.
How do you top that?
Yeah. So good for him. He's had a great career.
Yeah, only played 10 seasons.
Yeah, that's.
though.
But I'm sure they playing on the line that put a wear and tear on your body.
Yeah.
So
and he's made some money. He played for the Lions for a long time.
Yeah.
He also played for there was one other team.
Yeah, just was it? It wasn't Ravens.
It was the Ravens. That's who
So-
it was. Played for the Ravens. Came from Auburn, I believe.
I believe so.
I can't remember. But congratulations to him on retiring. More football news. Wide receiver Golden Tate signs a $37.5 million deal. 23 of that is guaranteed with the Philadelphia Eagles. Love it or hate it?
Hate it.
Really?
I hate the Eagles.
Well,
I don't want them to get better.
All right. No heart with your head. Love it or hate
Okay.
it?
Oh, love it. I mean, if he can still play.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good move by Philadelphia. They're smart with their signings.
Kind of a shorter guy
Yeah,
for a receiver.
he is,
Don't
but
know
he's
that he's your
tough.
number one. I
Yeah.
think that's Alshon Jeffrey.
Without a doubt he is. But he's a tough guy and go get the ball.
Yeah. And they also brought on Deshaun Jackson again.
I did hear that,
So-
that he went back. He had said right before that signing, I would love to go back in Philadelphia and finish
Yeah.
up there. And he's a playmaker, man, especially on the punt returns.
Still a speedster.
That's
I'm not
right.
sure how much he's got left in the tank,
Yeah.
but it seems like they're gearing up for a race
Yeah.
here. So,
Yep.
all right, let's talk Johnny football. Johnny Manziel has signed a contract with the AAF to play for the Memphis Express after being kicked out of the CFL. All of them. Love it or hate it.
Love it. Maybe Mike Singletary will be a positive influence on
I
him in
don't know
Memphis.
that anybody is going to be for him.
He's just it's a low risk deal because AAF contracts
Yeah.
are like 3 years, $250,000.
Who knows if they'll be able to pay it?
That's right. So maybe Singletary would be a good influence on who knows.
He should be.
He's
He seems like one of those disciplinarian type coaches.
Yeah.
We saw it with the Bears.
Yeah.
I still keep hoping nothing but the best rather for
That's
Johnny.
right. But he just shoots himself in the foot.
Yeah,
He
he keeps
just
stepping on
can't
his
help
own
himself.
coattail.
Yeah.
Speaking of the American Alliance of Football or whatever
Have
it's
you
called,
watched any of it, by the way?
No.
Me
No.
neither.
They are moving. This is their first season.
Yeah.
They're already moving their championship game from Las Vegas to Texas. Love it or hate it.
Hate it. Why are you already moving? You're not. Wow.
I don't know.
There's got to be some money tied to that somewhere.
It's a price tag
Yeah.
thing. I bet you
Yeah.
whoever it was in Texas offered more money.
That's right.
That's probably what it comes down to.
My son and I did try to watch one game one
What'd you
night.
think?
It was awful.
It is.
It was hard to watch.
I've
we
seen
didn't, we didn't watch
some
but 5
highlights.
minutes. It's
Yeah.
hard to watch.
But they're going to be playing at the Ford Center at the Star in Frisco. That's going to take place Saturday, April 27th on CBS. So their season already almost over.
That's right.
So still got about a month. However, I got some news for you. That's the same weekend that Avengers Endgame comes out.
Oh yeah.
Ain't nobody
I wonder which.
ain't nobody going to be watching this. People going to be
No.
at the movies.
That's right.
All right, so let's go back to the big time NFL here.
All right, that's right.
The 49ers actually inquired about Odell Beckham Jr. before he ended up going to the G-Men, or rather going to Cleveland.
Yeah.
But New York wanted San Francisco's overall number 2 pick, and they said, love it or hate it.
On whose part? I love it for San Francisco.
Either one, whichever
That's
way you wanna go.
I love the fact that San Francisco said we're not giving up a 2 pick for it because this is a good draft.
It is.
And I like Odell Beckham Jr. And I know Gettleman got criticized, which I don't go off on chase that rabbit. But I love the fact that San Francisco said no to that.
You know what? I agree with you, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second. OBJ is established in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Garoppolo is obviously your quarterback of the future. He needs somebody to throw to in
He
San
does.
Francisco. Whether you like him or not, he's still probably one of the top 5, if definitely top 10 in the league at the wide receiver
Oh yeah,
position.
without a doubt. I couldn't care less about his antics if he can play.
I understand that this is a really deep draft. Looking at it right now, they'll probably end up with Bosa if the Cardinals take Murray. However, these are commodities that are unproven. You don't know. Nick
You're right.
Bosa,
You're right.
he may be the next, I don't know, who's Brian Urlacher or something,
that's-
but he might be the next bust.
That's right. He might be. I mean, there are a long line of can't miss players that missed. You're right.
So I agree with you that initially I agree with you,
Yeah.
but just playing devil's
Yeah.
advocate, there is
Yeah.
a downside to
Yeah. Oh
to
yeah. You always
cutting this
risk
deal.
when you don't take a proven player.
Absolutely.
Always.
Also, talking about NFL, the Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson was on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon and said that there is, quote, great potential that his next contract will be the biggest in NFL history. So him acknowledging that, love it or hate it.
Hate it.
Yeah?
I love Russell Wilson. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, but I don't
Talking about it, though.
Yeah, I don't. One, I don't love him talking about it. That sounds kind of arrogant. And 2, I'm not sure that he's deserving. I mean, he's not top 5. To me, he's not even top 5 best NFL players. To me,
it seems like every time one of these franchise quarterbacks rookie contracts end, they always set the bar for the number.
That's right.
Of course, right now Aaron Rodgers has it with that contract extension that pays stupid money.
Yeah.
But Russell Wilson may own it for a while. Then Dak maybe will own it. Then Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, the name just keeps changing.
That's right. That's right.
So it's just a matter of time for somebody else has that. Yeah. All right, another guy that's retiring. Saints center Max Unger retiring after 10 seasons.
Yeah, only 10 years there.
Love it or hate it.
I hate it for the Saints.
Yeah. Hate it for Drew Brees.
That's right, for Drew Brees. I mean, there's a lot to be said for center quarterback continuity.
Yes.
And it's certainly going to hurt their chances. And now for the Panthers, I love it. Anything maybe bring the Saints back to the Panthers.
I was like, what? The Panthers?
You're right. Bring the Saints back to the Panthers a little bit in the NFC South might be a good thing.
So Unger was there for the last 4 seasons, and that's long enough to build some continuity with Drew Brees.
That's right.
The first 6 was with Seattle. Of course, he was part of that Jimmy Graham trade. Yeah. I'm with you. I hate it for the Saints. I hate it for Drew Brees because Unger's was one of the best centers in the league, and you're losing
Pro Bowler.
Yeah, I say this all the time. Your center has to be the smartest guy on the line because he has to know where all of the other linemen are supposed to be and where they're going. He has to know who's blocking who, where the receivers are going, and there's a lot of information.
He's marking out signals for assignments right there, and I mean, that's a big responsibility.
A lot of info that you have to run through your brain in a very short period of time, and he's one of the best to do it, so I hate that. Clemson's up next, and of course I lost their helmet here, but Clemson, this is one Russell sent me, believe it or not. Clemson has added to their program's, quote, graveyard after beating Alabama in the title game, and I can't believe Russell sent that to me, but he did.
Wow.
Love it or hate it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Man, I love college.
Yeah, and that's so typical college
that's
stuff,
right? It is. That's awesome.
They got a graveyard, and they added Bama, and hopefully they'll continue to do so in the future.
That's right. If they play again, I hope they add them again next year.
And I hope Russell's listening to me in the booth. I got more football here. Yeah. So Stephon Diggs, wide receiver who's been playing for the Vikings, his brother came out on social media and said that the Redskins should sign Stephon Diggs. Love it or hate it?
Love it. I love it for the Redskins. I mean, he's a player.
Yeah.
Isn't anyone who caught the game-winning touchdown a couple years ago in the playoffs?
Against the Saints, because that guy made that silly move and was ridiculed unrelentlessly on social media.
Yeah, Stephon Diggs is a good ball player.
He is. I'm not sure how I feel about his brother doing his
maybe
work
his brother.
for him.
I love the fact that family members getting involved on social media is a little weird.
However, we don't know. That might be his agent or something. Who knows? But as a Redskins fan, we lost Jamison Crowder to the Jets. I'd be okay if we brought on Diggs because he can be a number one guy.
Yeah, he can play.
Got some more football here. Baker Mayfield. This is sort of football, sort of baseball. I don't know if you saw this, but Baker Mayfield hit a fan with a foul ball, then signed it during a spring training game during batting practice with the Brewers. Love it or hate it?
Love it.
Yeah.
God, that's awesome.
Turned a bad moment, flipped it on its ear, made it a great moment.
That's cool.
And if you're a fan, don't you just love stuff
that?
I
do.
Obviously, it wasn't done maliciously.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you got a free Baker Mayfield signature.
That's pretty cool.
Something else that was done maliciously, Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson just got the reins as the top dog in Baltimore. His dumb butt took a video of him doing 105 miles per hour on the freeway with no seatbelt.
Wow.
Put it on social media. Love it or hate it.
Hate it. Come on, you got to be smarter than that.
Got to be smarter than that.
Yeah, I get it. I'm not saying if I was a 20-something-year-old millionaire and could afford any car I wanted, I wouldn't be driving 105. But I wouldn't be dumb enough to put it on social media.
Well, you know what made me mad the most? He didn't have a seatbelt.
I mean, that's right. I mean, right there, he's putting himself at risk.
Yeah. I mean, you want to, like right now, for instance, the Chiefs, they won't let Mahomes play basketball in the offseason. And here you got Lamar Jackson, who is another young quarterback that's the franchise.
That's right.
Can't do stuff like that,
man. You got to be smarter than that.
He may get fined. He came out and apologized, and luckily he didn't get pulled over.
Yeah, you're the leader now. You got to. You the man.
Yeah.
You got to be the man.
Although I would like to know what he was driving.
That's right.
It was not a
Corolla.
No. Mark Cuban back in the news. Of course, the Dallas Mavericks owner, and he is trying to make a case for the NBA's G League over guys going to the NCAA straight out of high school. Love it or hate it?
Not sure how I felt. Maybe. It's just a matter of time for the one and done's done anyway.
I agree.
And so
it should be done.
That's right. And so, I mean, why not?
And until that day comes, I'll be honest with you. I say this all the time. NCAA basketball and football is a business. Mm-hmm. If you've got the talent, when you go to college, especially in basketball for one season, you ain't going there to take classes. Right. You're there to play basketball.
If you're even in class, it's a miracle.
Exactly.
That's right.
So, with that being said, if let's say Zion came out last year and said, you know what? Instead of going to Duke, I'm gonna play a year in the G League. I'm gonna make $125,000 because that's what the contracts are, and then go to the NBA. That to me sounds like the solid move.
It's a smart business move.
Absolutely.
How many 18-year-olds out of high school make $125,000?
Yeah, and if the NCAA is smart, they better figure out a way to counteract this and get rid of the one and done. Just let them come out, and as I mentioned last year, if you don't make it, you don't make it. Perhaps maybe there's an opportunity to go back to school, something along those lines. I don't know. Anyway, Major League Baseball. We talked about this. They were trying to spruce up the All-Star game. They've officially come out. Now they've got a deal that includes $1 million for the Home Run Derby as part of a bonus if you win. Love it or hate it?
Cool, I love that.
Love it too.
I mean, that'll get that. We talked about a couple weeks ago. How do you get the big ones there?
Yep.
$1 million will get even the millionaires there.
Yeah, I mean
that
it's an extra million.
That's right. It puts some jazz. It puts some on a fun competition.
Absolutely. Jalen Rose, he's not afraid to come out and say what's on his mind.
You never have to ask him; he'll tell you.
He has come out. We talked about the Lakers. Should they make some moves, try to trade for some people? They almost were going to give up the whole team for Anthony Davis. But Jalen Rose has come out and said that Kyle Kuzma, Lonzo Ball, and LeBron are the only Lakers worth keeping. Love it or hate it.
Wow.
I'm inclined to agree with him.
Well, I love the fact that he speaks his mind, but I disagree. I would add Ingram to the list.
Okay, I'll give you that. Brandon Ingram.
I think Ingram's a player,
Although,
but I get his point. I mean, they lost to the Bucks this week.
Bad.
Without LeBron, and the Bucks didn't have a Greek Freak either.
Oh no!
I mean, he sat that game too, and the Bucks still.
Bucks are a good team this year,
and so I mean they're just not good.
They're not, and I wonder. It seems like it's kind of getting to LeBron a little bit. He's been chipping at his teammates
and like not sitting in the huddles on the sideline during timeout stuff. I mean, he's used to winning.
Yeah,
he does not
everywhere he goes.
That's right. So I get why he's frustrated.
This can be frustrating. I think right now they're still in 10th place in the West. Probably not going to make the playoffs.
No, they're like 9.5 games out.
Yeah, they're running out of time. I agree with that 100%. And I would probably add Brandon Ingram, although he's hurt and is going to be out the rest of the season. So that's not going to help him at all trying to get in the playoffs.
Yep.
All right, UCLA has come out and said that they're interested in stealing away Tony Bennett from Virginia. Love it or hate it?
Hate it. I don't want Virginia. I don't want Bennett to leave Virginia.
I don't either.
I think he's good for ACC, even though he's got Carolina's number.
Yeah.
I think he's good for the ACC.
I agree.
I hope he doesn't go anywhere. Stay, Tony.
Although, I wonder, if I'm Tony Bennett, I'm not taking this job. That's a step down to me at this point. The way he's built up
Virginia's a better job. Who's UCLA, the glamour of California. Who knows that they're going to buy into a defense-first system where you play in the 60s?
Probably not.
I mean, Virginia's totally bought in.
And, UCLA, I think the last good player they had was Lonzo Ball, and before that it was probably Russell Westbrook.
That's right.
But, everybody's still hung up on what's his name?
Wooden.
Yeah, John Wooden.
Okay.
Like, those days are long
50 years
gone.
in the past before my time.
Yeah, and UCLA, quite frankly, just hasn't been steadily, consistently good since then.
Won a championship in 96 with somebody, and then maybe won since then.
Yeah, I think they won one I can't remember. It was like early 2000s.
Yeah,
but I see what you're saying.
But since those days, I just okay.
Yeah, and they'll be able. I mean, still UCLA has the name appeal.
Yeah, that's right.
They play in LA. You'll be able to get a good coach. But I'm with you. Don't take Tony Bennett.
You're right. You're right. I think Virginia's a better job.
Yep. All right, NBC. Listen to this. NBC has traded the 2021 Super Bowl to CBS for the 2022 Super Bowl. Trading Super Bowl coverages. Love it or hate it.
That's weird.
That is weird, right?
Hate it, I think.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. That's weird.
You said I hate it, I think. I'm right there with you. I think I hate it. I'm not really sure what to make of this.
That's weird.
It is weird.
I mean, maybe there's a logical reason.
I don't really know what that would be, but I found it to be odd as well. Let's talk baseball. One more here for baseball. So Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a big name, playing for the Blue Jays. I'm sure you know about him. You know about his dad.
Yeah, without a doubt.
One of the top prospects in all of baseball. Now, he's got an injury right now. But even if he didn't, the Blue Jays more than likely would have held him back to keep his free agent clock from start running. You know what I mean? The Cubs did it with Chris Bryant. The Braves did it with Acuna, where if you keep him out till April something, then you get an extra year before his arbitration numbers start kicking in. So there are some people in baseball that don't like this manipulation of the numbers. What do you think about that? Love it or hate it?
I mean, okay, where's he playing?
Toronto.
All right. They're not getting the big players to come up there.
No.
And if it levels the playing field a little bit, for them, then so be it. I mean, if you don't like the rule, change the rule.
Yeah, and I agree. And I don't think the Blue Jays are going to win the World Series this year either.
That's right. So why not let them have another year?
I mean, here's the thing: if it's in the rules, find the loophole and extort it.
That's
you know?
right.
The Braves did it with Acuna, and I'm glad they did.
That's right.
And that's why I have no problem with any other team doing this because, as I mentioned, you get an extra year by having him go back down to AAA for 3 weeks.
That's right.
And they come up with he's injured, or we need him to work on this or that, and you're like, whatever, he's ready to go. But everybody knows what it is.
Yeah.
But
I don't have a problem with this. You don't like the rule change. If powers be don't like that rule, change it.
And it may come up in the next CBA, as will a lot of things. Yeah. All right, Tiger back in the news. Declawed. He carded a 7. But I want to tell you where it is. It's at TPC Sawgrass.
Have you seen that hole?
It's the Island Green, number 17. Carded a 7. Love it or hate it.
I love it. It just makes us. There's hope for us all.
Man,
I love Tiger, but
that 17 par 3 Island Green will beat up the best of the best.
I wonder how many thousands of golf balls have been fished out of that.
You can't even count the number.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's just truly, I mean, you have to hit it almost perfectly to stick it on that green.
And I'm not sure how big the green actually is, but it's not very big. No,
and if you look at it from an aerial view, it looks like you're dropping like a pin drop,
Absolutely.
like a pinhead.
And again, Tiger declawed. I liked that. But, as you mentioned, it gives the rest of us hope that if Tiger shoots a 7, gosh knows, I'd probably shoot a 27 on that hole.
Number 1 at Lockhaven. So
well, there you go. All right, last one here, Brand. I don't know if you're a Marvel fan or not.
I am.
But the Nets' Spencer Dinwiddie has requested that the NBA take April 26th off so people can go see Avengers Endgame. Love it or hate it?
Love it. Well, that's creative. It's not going to happen, but I love it.
I love it too. Now, the Nets probably won't be.
The Nets are off anyway.
They might be. Actually, they might be. They're like a 7 seed right now.
Are they really?
Maybe an 8
still
seed.
In? Okay.
Yeah. They're under 500, but that's what the 8 seed in the East will get you. But I'm all on board for this. I went and saw Captain Marvel this past weekend.
Was it good?
It was okay. I was expecting. Actually, I don't know what I was expecting. Okay. Marvel's kind of tried to go off into the cosmos part of Marvel with Guardians of the Galaxy and all that. This is kind of an extension of that. The only problem I had before we go, Captain Marvel seems so powerful. There was no point during the movie where I thought, uh-oh, she's in trouble.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, how's she going to get out of this? That kind of thing. But I'm with Spencer. Let the NBA off. If you want to go see it, go see it. Or fake an injury.
That's right. There you go.
All right. That's going to do it for this edition of The Rundown. We, of course, appreciate everybody tuning in to this Rundown and every Rundown, as well as all of the other RO sports shows that we provide to you for free across all of the Richmond Observer platforms. This one, of course, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics. That's Brand Falk. I'm Matt Harrelson. We'll see you right back here next week for another edition of the the Ross Rundown. There's too many shows.
That's right.
Have a great week.
Go Heels.